back to The Mother You Know, The Woman You Don't. Thank you so much for tuning back in again this week. We're going to try something a little different this week. I'm talking with my Aunt Shirley, who is married to my Uncle Eddie, who is my dad's brother. And my mom is with us. Lydia is at a work event, so she won't be talking with us today. But we're going to talk about my grandmother on my dad's side. So my dad's mother, my grandma Connie, she's no longer with us. She's passed away, but she's been an integral part of our life. So as we were kind of talking about like how do we fit that in, because she did not have daughters. She had 2 sons and therefore ended up with 2 daughter-in-laws.
Yes, 2 daughter-in-laws.
From my own experience, I have, the girl's dad's mother was very intricate in my life as a mother-in-law, really influenced a lot of things that I did. I did not get a chance to know my husband's mother. She passed away before we were married. So I know that relationship can be really influential, because you're essentially taking their son, and I think you take a little bit of them and a little bit of how to make that, life for them. You learn that from your mother-in-law. So we thought it'd be a great idea just to talk with both my mom and my Aunt Shirley, just to kind of get a feel for who my grandmother was and her influence and how it influenced their lives. And in our life, I know my grandma Connie was a huge influence in my life. We spent a majority of our time growing up with her. So for me, she's a huge influence. I think in the, when we talk about, like, I don't want to say some crazy, but I feel like I probably am more like her than I would be my grandmother, my grandma Annie. And maybe that's crazy. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. I don't know.
No, this is true.
She was just really influential in my life.
You're right. You're right about that one.
Yeah. So I think if I had to pick a side, I probably fall a little more over here than I do a little over here. In both, I mean, in I would say mainly good ways, but I'm excited to get to talk to y'all about her and what she was like early on, and how what your experiences were meeting her, what you know about her growing up, and how she influenced you guys. So I guess I was trying to think, because Grandma, okay, so and Shirley, you married Uncle Eddie after Mom and Dad were married, right? So
Yes.
they were married first. Okay, because I
Right.
thought so. But at least
Yes.
when did y'all get married?
1982.
Okay, and Mom, you and Dad got married when?
1972. So it was
Okay.
10 years
Okay, so
after
it was a 10
Daddy
year-
and I,
10 years
Shirley
difference.
and
Okay.
Edward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like it's 10 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, but I don't remember a time in my life where Aunt Shirley wasn't around. So to me, it could have been 76.
Well, you were young.
Yeah.
Lydia, I think you were pregnant. You carried James and had James, and Eddie and I don't know if we were dating or we had married by that time. I don't remember what year he was born, but we married in 82. But Lydia was little, and
Yeah.
you were not much older.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were very young. So it may have been you were so young that, when Patsy was around, you didn't.
Yeah. No, I don't remember
remember
that, because
the whole
I did remember you and Katrina and John always being in our lives. So I
Mhm.
don't remember a time where it was not all of us. So Mom, when you met Grandma, you were if I remember, you were in high school, right? Or fixing to graduate high school when you first met Grandma,
No, I had
right?
already graduated, because no, I'd already graduated, and it would have been in probably June or July after we graduated, because that's when Daddy started coming to the church, and it was probably somewhere in there where I got to meet Grandma.
Yeah.
So Daddy took me home.
And where did you meet her at?
To their house in Lena Park. I met her at the house, I think, on 4th Street is the first time I met her, because Daddy had just taken me to their home in Lena Park. And she didn't speak very much English. She was very, very broken English. And so I think Daddy had to kind of translate for me some. So she was so little and so pretty and so shy at that time. But it was I just remember how sweet she was,
I don't remember shy.
and how, yeah, well, that passed after a while. But
I don't remember shy.
it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting to get to know her. And of course, she was always cooking tortillas. She was always cooking refried beans. So it was getting to love that kind of cooking too. And her trying to teach me how to do tortillas. And of course, Daddy made so much fun of them because he said they look like the state of Texas, instead of a round tortilla. It was just getting to know her, and all, and getting to know Daddy too. So, we were young. We were very young.
Yeah, because y'all knew each other, 6 months before you got
go ahead.
married? Was it 6 months before y'all got married?
About January. I mean, June, July to January. So it was quickly, but you
she
weren't
was okay
born
with y'all
for
getting
3
married?
years still. So
I-
it was, yeah. So she was, let's see, Lydia said spicy. Okay, that was her description of grandma. And that's the truth. So it getting to know her as we were getting to know Daniel and Isidore. Of course, Eddie was off at, in Europe. So it was a couple of years before we really got, to know Ember. We were talking about her, teaching her boys and all that. And I always said, Daddy's not a slob. I never picked up after him. I had to never clean up after him. And I have Grandma to thank. As always saying, thank you, Grandma. So, she did a good job. I'll tell you that, of raising her boys.
Yeah. Do you think she was do you remember her being strict, or do you remember her being strict raising them?
You
think she was strict?
Asked your dad, and he said, yeah, she was a disciplinarian, and she was strong. She was a strong woman. She had to be, she was determined to learn. She was just determined. So, that she was.
And what do you know about what do you know about her history growing up?
Let's see, and Shirley, you can fill in some of these spaces. She was very young when she got married. So we were trying to decide if she was like 14 or 16 when she got married. I think she was at least that young.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Grandpa was at least 8 years older. Yeah. Isidore was at least 8 years older than her. So, and her mother died real young.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was the oldest and had to take care of the two younger ones, so that was a factor too. She was was thrown into that position of taking care of the younger ones and cooking and cleaning and all of that. So
the grandma was the oldest. Explains a lot.
Yeah, I think it.
So is that
was that the
woman you didn't know?
Her, Julia.
Yeah.
I think so. Because it was Grandma. Well, there was Grandma and Julia and Baldo and Pee-wee.
Yeah, then Baldo.
Yeah.
Pee-wee was from another marriage that Jesse, I think he may have been the oldest as far as, I may be wrong, but I got the impression like he was there before the rest of them, but he wasn't in the light or in the family. Like, but she only cared for Julio and Baldo. I don't know where he was.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how he actually fits into it, other than it was through another mother, which I don't know.
Never knew that.
We should really family tree this.
We should, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
We should
Should
really,
call, well, I know someone thinks
yeah,
someone
Yeah.
thinks there's Italian in there somewhere, you know. So,
Yeah. Well, when we went to a
but yes,
family
she,
reunion, and Isabel, I think was his name, did the family line, and he said that it went back to Italy.
yes,
That's where we
oh,
got the Italian
yes.
from. So I have
I,
somewhere a disc with the family that he had put it all together, and then he did a great presentation of it, and somewhere, unless it was in that got lost, I'll just put it that way. The pictures of all of the family where he divided it down and had it going down each one from this brother and this sister. Manuel was the baby, I think, or Isidora. Anyway, whatever the case was, I know that I think she was the only girl, Manuela, Pa's sister, and he went down with every one of them and throughout the family. It was a great thing that he did, but I couldn't tell you where to look.
yeah.
It's somewhere, maybe in the house, maybe not, I don't know.
okay.
Well, no, that'd be great to
You're
see
not
because
going to
I don't
need
have
that.
any
You're not
concept
Yeah.
of history of grandma's
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
Well,
Grandma Connie's
that would
side.
be
We don't, I
good
don't,
if I
you
could
know,
find it. That was the Saranels, not
yeah,
the Cano. I know
Yeah.
not the
Jesse, I don't know
Conos,
who
yeah,
all belongs
yeah.
to Jesse. I know Eddie would go to Ama's aunt, Mary or Maria or whatever. They're in
Maria,
maybe
yeah,
Corn City. I don't know where they were. Yeah, and she
yeah,
was the
yeah, in
one
Corn
that
City.
Ama felt as her mother that did a lot for her. And I think she may have been Jesse's sister. And she had that relationship with her, but she had children too, and
Yeah.
she died. I don't remember when, but Eddie could probably be the one to take some of them.
Yeah. Well, and
Not
okay,
all.
so grandma
Yes,
grew up when her mother passed away when she was young. So
Very
she
young.
grew up with her dad and her brother and her sister.
Correct.
Growing up, did he ever remarry or was he always just single and she just was by herself forever? Or well, I
Well,
say by herself, but just her and
all
her
I
kids.
know is she would talk about she would have to get on like a footstool, something, stand on something,
Mhm.
and she would cook for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And that was she wasn't even tall enough to reach the stove.
Yeah. She
And
was
she was
really
put
young.
into that position as the, I guess, overseer of the family.
Yeah.
And, it was a hard life for her. She
Yeah.
didn't get to be a child.
Yeah. Well, I would say
She
not
didn't
if she
have
got married
girlfriend.
at 14.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
raising
yeah,
kids
14
and then
or
got married at
16.
14 and
Yeah, 14
yeah.
or 16. Um,
Either
and
way, there's
all.
not a big
So,
difference between 14 and 16.
No.
no, no. And Kano
Yeah.
was a mean old man. You know, he was mean.
Yeah,
Her
that's
dad?
what I understand.
He
I
was
think he broke her
abusive.
nose.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
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 So she went through a
She was
lot of
always,
abuse and
Yeah,
physical
she did.
abuse.
yes, as a child, at the hands of her father,
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
a mean guy. So,
Yeah.
and then when
Mhm.
she
So then
married
she got
really,
married. Yeah, no, as I said, she got married. She married Grandpa. And did
yes,
they move away or did they stay in Carn City or,
She
you know?
told me that they lived with his parents for a while
Yeah.
because she did not comprehend the marriage relationship.
Uh-huh.
And she said that when Grandpa wanted to be husband,
Yeah.
she didn't understand, and she ran and got in the bed with the grandparent, his
Yeah.
mother and dad, because
Yeah.
she didn't comprehend. And
Yeah.
it took a while for her to find out that was
Yeah.
part of the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody just didn't sit down and explain to her or what, but she had
Yeah.
to learn through the school of hard knocks
Yeah.
what it was to
What it
even
meant.
be a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't old enough to comprehend and hadn't been educated. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that to me was, because today, I mean, kindergartens can tell you
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and but it was a completely different world back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure she was highly protected. She didn't go really to school. I think she may have had a little bit, but she wasn't able to continue it. It was mostly she was at home taking care
Yeah.
of the kids as I guess a nanny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Can you
but
even imagine just that world? I can't even
yeah,
comprehend it. Like, I'm thinking,
yeah,
I can't even, like, Mariah's 28 right now, and I'm thinking, dear God, don't get married yet, sister. Don't get married yet. You know what I mean? It just feels so
yeah,
young. It feels so
yeah.
young. That feels incredibly child abusive. That's what it
Really,
feels like.
really.
Yes. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
feels
But
like,
back then,
I know, it just is different
it was a
time.
completely different world.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the family couldn't take care of the child, so you need to go get married so somebody else can
Yeah.
take care of you, or they didn't like being at home, because maybe it was overwhelming to handle everything, but you just jump out of the fire into another situation because married, you're going to be doing the same thing plus,
Yeah.
But then also at that time too, they didn't always have indoor plumbing. They didn't always have,
Oh, yeah.
that indoor restroom. There was outhouses
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bathe in a bucket, and
Mhm.
you didn't have, uh, heat wasn't open face
Yeah.
fire or
Right.
so running water.
Yeah.
So and if you remember the little cabin there in Corn City when for her
Yeah. I remember.
funeral.
Yeah.
And then there was another time we did take y'all, but y'all were little bitty. I think you were little bitty, and we went to Corn City for something. I think just to meet the family, and it was in a small
Yeah.
cabin, and I don't think there was indoor plumbing, and also
Yeah.
that's kind of world she was in,
Yeah.
and I'm
Well,
sure.
yeah, I don't know if the cabin where Manuela lived and behind there was the parents' cabin, and it
Yes,
was just a
yes.
little one room. That was
Yeah.
it. And I'm thinking, how in the world would they fit all of these families into this little bitty one room? I didn't ever go in because it wasn't in good shape, and Eddie goes, I don't want you to get hurt. But uh, it was not very big. Tiny home. I mean, we're talking about equivalent to like a little tiny home, 4 foot
Yeah.
square.
Yeah.
I mean, 400 foot, like
Yeah.
they have now, just a little bitty.
Isn't that
And
insane?
then I
Because all
think
I
about
remember,
her,
I don't remember any house other than the
where
house she had in
they
North
didn't
Shore,
really have their own room, but
which
how it
was
all
not a
fits
little
together.
house.
Huh.
Yeah, which was not a
It-
little house, her house in North Shore. So that's the only house I remember her in.
yeah.
But isn't that amazing to think from where, I don't know where she was when she moved into that house, but the change that happened from
That would be
here to
your mother,
here.
the house that she was probably talking about,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
one
see
on
that. She was already
the
in.
one on 4th Street in Galena Park
Yeah.
was a lovely little home.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller home.
Yeah.
If you drive through Galena Park, you can see that homes were
Didn't it burn
big.
down?
Yeah.
I think eventually it did, not while
Yeah.
she was there, because they moved
Yeah,
from there
probably
to
then, but after they moved
yeah,
out.
at one point there. But then they moved to the house on Evanston in North Shore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Which is my favorite house.
yes,
Favorite house ever.
yeah,
I
and
still
she
wish I had that house
Yeah.
lived in, because I love that house.
But even she loved her house.
Yeah.
Her house
Yes.
was where she always was, her home
She was
was
a
so
homemaker.
clean. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she loved pretty things, and she loved
Yeah.
curtains, and she
Yeah.
loved
So
greenery,
I
and
get that
she
from her.
loved yeah, you do.
Because every
Yes.
dollar I spend, I could spend on this house. Like every
Yes.
detail, everything I could spend on knick-knack paddywhacks,
Yeah.
Her
curtains,
her shopping was
rods.
in her shopping was in garage sales and not
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mine's at Amazon.
yeah,
Mine's
Kirkland's
Amazon.
or anything like that. but
But
she could
she
turn
had such amazing,
anything.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
yeah,
Didn't
the
she?
ability to make things out of nothing that was gorgeous. And she did
Yeah.
that a lot. I have in the bedroom, I still have grandma's bedroom, and it's got her pillows
Yes.
on it that she made.
She
Yeah.
hand
And
sewed those. She hand
yeah,
stitched all the ruffles on there.
yeah. And
Uh,
then she
Yeah.
had that frilly bedspread, and then she goes and adds another ruffle underneath to make it even
Yeah.
more ruffly.
because it wasn't
Yeah.
frilly enough, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So she liked pretty, and she made it
she
pretty.
did. She did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was just her.
Yeah.
And
Just being
she had the
resourceful.
ability to do that.
Mhm.
I take and try to make something pretty, and Eddie goes, "What are you gonna do with that? You gonna put it in the back of the closet or what?"
No, no.
So,
No, but
That's true.
it is truly a gift, and I guess it's one that she probably, I don't know if I wonder if it's something she just innately loved or if it was something you just learned to love. Um,
I think
I
you know,
out of
think it's
homemaker.
something sport.
necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think out of necessity she did, because growing up where she was, she didn't have
Yeah.
a lot of that. And
Yeah.
so when she got the chance, she did what she loved. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to that one aunt, and Maddie, Mary, whatever her name was, that was the
Yeah,
Mama's
Maria.
Maddie, I think it was Maddie. I'd have to ask Daddy, but her house was frilly,
Mhm.
and I think she may have had a lot of influence. And I look at the different things that Ama learned, like quilting, beautiful,
Mhm.
gorgeous quilts,
Mhm.
and I'm
I know
thinking
I
that
have 4 that
yeah,
sit
I
in our
have
Yes,
spare
one
you
that
room.
she
do.
Yeah.
started,
Yeah.
and I really want to take it somewhere and get it
Is it
finished.
the front? Because I have 4 fronts that I need to have
Yeah,
finished, quilted, and backed on them.
yeah.
But I have
Well,
4 of them hanging in the spare room that
she
are
made
all.
she made a quilt for us and gave it to us, and it started coming unraveled.
Mhm.
So I fixed it, and she looked at it and she
Yeah.
goes, "Why didn't you fix it right?" I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing.
I thought it was right.
I did. It's not. It doesn't have a hole there. Well, it doesn't match. It's not with a pattern.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, well. I tried.
That's true. And
yeah,
crocheting. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was very good at
yeah,
crocheting and all the, not only the throws, but the doilies and the pineapple
yeah,
print and all
yeah,
that, you know. And she did that until her little fingers wouldn't work no more, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
She, till the arthritis set in.
Yeah.
She couldn't crochet, but she did for years and years and years, you know.
Yeah.
And how many
So-
little
She loved her
crochet
garden.
blankets for,
Yeah.
how many crochet blankets do we have that she did for
Yeah.
the
Oh, I
kids and the
know.
girls? And
Yeah.
so she
But
I
her talent
think
was not only in the house. You look at her yard, because she had a beautiful yard, and
Yeah.
she'd go along and she goes, "Oh, I like this. Break it off and go home, and it'll turn into a big, beautiful plant."
Yeah.
yes.
I can't even
river
get
plants.
a plant that is healthy and keep it healthy in my house. It dies.
Yeah, well,
So,
when we moved into this house, Dwayne put flower beds in the front yard, and I had him go and buy azaleas for our front porch to wrap the front. So he's actually got them wrapped around the front and the back. And they're
Okay.
the hot pink. I went after the same flower that she had in her house. So I kept telling him, I want the
oh,
azaleas
Yes,
to
she
bloom
did.
and I want them to
Yeah.
grow. So they're that rich,
right.
it's almost a pink purple flower that grew at her house that she had all the way around the perimeter of her house. So
Oh,
when we
yeah.
moved in this
Yes.
house,
That's
I had
right. I
him
forgot
plant
about that.
azaleas in the front and back. And the other
Oh,
yesterday we were mulching, and he goes, "Hey, your azaleas are about to bloom," because they're starting to
you
form a
need to
flower.
take a
So
picture and
that's
post that.
it's really
Yeah.
it's really my favorite. When
Oh.
we moved in here, I kept telling him I want azaleas all the way, and they got to be a certain color. We went looking at the nurseries, and I found the flower, and
Oh,
we
I
ended
didn't
up
know
putting.
that.
I think we've
Yeah.
got 11 in the front and the back. Actually, one died in the freeze. We got to replant it,
Yeah.
but yeah, the front is looking really. He actually trimmed them this week, and they're starting to, or trimmed them last week, and they're starting to bloom this week. But I did that because that's what I remember of her house. I remember playing around those azaleas, hiding behind them.
Yeah.
Loved that. So that's what we have here. And
Yeah,
I want
don't
to
you
plant them in
think?
the back too.
Yeah, don't you think sometimes we forget how our mothers and our the women in our life influenced us in ways that we just do it.
Yeah.
We just do what they used to do without thinking, oh, grandma used to do this, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so I think as women we have to realize how influential we are, even when we don't realize,
Yeah.
that we are.
Yeah.
And also, I was thinking about my mother and how when she talked, she always pointed her finger. She always had her finger out like this. And you don't even know how many pictures that I've got that I go through. And I think, oh my goodness, look at that. And her sisters at that family reunion, her sisters was always making fun of how she said, watch Annie, watch that finger. Because when she talks, she always had that finger out like this, so you don't realize. And so I was doing that in my Bible study the other day, and I thought, watch Annie, look at that. That's so how do we influence our children? And so,
Right.
so what is it about your mother? We'll get back to Connie, but what about your mother, Shirley? Do you think and look back and see how she has influenced you and how you raised your children?
Oh, wow. Well, one thing that I know without a doubt, my parents both loved me and accepted me. And I think because of the past that I went through, I was molested as a young child. Friend of my oldest brother, well, they were friend of both of my brothers, but my oldest, he was the one. And that really stripped a lot away from me. My parents were not aware, but they loved me.
Right.
And I started, as I became a teenager, I started acting this out in my behavior. And
Wow.
through all of that, my dad did tell me one time that he was going to send me to a home, and mother goes, nah, he wouldn't do that, but he was just trying to get my attention. You need to straighten your act up, girl, because I was not on the right track, but it was just acting out. They didn't know. If they would have known what was going on, it would have been taken care of back when I was 4 years old. But
Yeah.
but because of the security that I had in my mother's love, I was able to go through all of this, and God brought healing. And when she was, it was a few years before she passed away, the Lord said to me, you need to tell her what happened. I go, Lord, it's too long. It's going to hurt her. But I now, because she told me that the same guy molested my niece, my
Okay.
brother's
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
And before I even knew what I said, I go, well, he also molested me. And she just stopped. And all of these things that I went through, I imagine that the picture went together, and because she was wondering, what's wrong with me? Why was my daughter like this? But in spite of my behavior, my mother stood with me, and she did not walk away. And the confidence that I have today, I know is because she instilled that I am somebody, because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so low in my esteem. I thought so little of myself, and I couldn't even see how God could love me. But I had the love of my mother and the love of my dad.
Yeah.
And I think that was a gift for
Yeah.
me to be able to become the overcomer.
Yeah.
So one of the things is the security that she brought. My mother and dad, I never saw them argue, but I knew they had arguments because all of a sudden my dad would go off start the car and drive away fast, and my mother start cleaning house. But we knew something was going on, and but it you don't see the security, and that's one thing. My son, he got into trouble, and we talked, and he was denying it. It was when he was a teenager, and his first wife, before they got married, he was in love and just cut up the roof of the girlfriend that said something bad about her. I mean, the story was wild. The detective came and talked to me, and I'm going, oh, wow. And so I'm taking him up there, and I said, if you did it, you need to let him know. I go, I love you. Nothing is going to change, regardless what you may do, the fact that I love you and I will be there.
Yeah.
He went in and confessed because he had that security that I loved him.
Yeah.
Which I had the security that my mother loved me, that enabled me to pursue what God had for me to do.
Yeah.
So I think that is one thing that my mother instilled in me that I can say, at least my son, Katrina too, probably. But
Liz, I keep saying daughters are a different beast, man.
That's right.
It's a different game.
Especially my daughter, bless her heart.
Not mine.
I keep saying, I know.
Not my daughters. Not my daughters.
Yours were perfect.
Yeah. I got to
that's a whole nother podcast. I'm telling you.
Listen,
I bet.
if you want an example, if you wanted to see Connie incarnate, put me and Mariah in a room, okay?
I don't know what would happen with me and Katrina getting in the room because she probably went, well, Mother, what about this? Well, Katrina.
No, I just listen, I don't know how I think Grandma and Mariah, which it makes me sad. I wish Grandma was still around because she would get such a kick out of the girls.
Oh my
sure.
gosh.
I mean, like, I think she'd just be head over heels in love with Cody, but she would be just head over. Her and Mariah would just end up being thick as thieves because they really are.
Can I tell
and
a
I think
story?
she would think, yes, please.
Yeah. She had, I don't know where Eddie was, but I was at her house and she brought Alicia over and she had like a slumber party for us. And we were all doing these facials and she was just like the girls when you get together and you're trying all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think she wanted to have the closeness of a daughter. And with me being there and with Alicia being there also, she was in heaven. She loved it so much. And I think you're right on. If she would have survived cancer or never had it, that your daughters, Alicia's kids, would be, I mean, it would
like,
be completely
just hung the moon.
different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be,
I
think it'd be incredible.
Grandparents love their kids, and that's the next level. A great grandparent, and I think that she was amazing grandmother, but I think she would have been.
I think that makes me really sad is that you lose that, because I think it's the women, through Dad. Mariah and Dad are extremely close and laugh and talk and play, but there's something about losing that female thing that you just think, oh God, that would have been so good right now. It would have been good, like right now for me at 50 or 49, or not 50 yet, but 49, to share what we have going on right now, and the life we have right now. She would have just loved. And I think her and Dwayne would have been an amazing, like, she would have loved Dwayne.
I have no doubt.
So I hate that, that she's not around for this part, because she was so good. And I do have the same thing. I have my memories of her, are always really good. And slumber party, yes, it was always, I remember the exercise routine before we go to bed, the lotion routine before she goes to bed, sleeping in the bed with her, the smell of that room, I remember so much about her because it was so ingrained in my life. But
and the sad thing is your children never got to experience it.
No, she did know. She met Mariah and Ariel because she died after She
Yeah.
died. She met Dwayne. They did get to meet. And she did die before we got
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
So she did get to meet the girls. But she didn't, the meat and potatoes of them. That's now who they are now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But basically, she didn't see. So let's back up real quick. So Shirley, you met Eddie, and y'all got married. And how did you meet Grandma? And what was your first impressions of her when you first met her?
We were dating, and he goes, "I'm going to take you to my mom's house." Went over there, and so she set food down for us, gave me a tortilla, and I'm sitting there eating. About halfway through the meal, she goes, "Oh my goodness, I didn't give you a fork." I go, "I haven't missed a bite." She was kind of embarrassed because,
Yeah.
she just gave you tortillas. And just
Yeah.
meeting me, she didn't know, but I mean, I didn't miss a bite. I enjoyed it, all
Yeah.
of it. But that was my first encounter. Went over there and she
Yeah.
cooked for us, or cooked for me. Eddie
Yeah.
brought me over for whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was very
Yeah.
nice.
Now, I was gonna say, for both of y'all, what do you think was your first impressions of her? Like when you walked away that night and you're thinking, "Oh dear God," or you're thinking, "Oh Lord," or "She's nice,"
Well, I knew
you
that
know.
she was a believer.
Hmm.
That was obvious. And I saw her house was immaculate, and she wasn't really dressed up like Sunday, but she was decent and
Yeah, she was always put
very
together.
cordial and very
Yeah.
nice. And didn't come in and say, "You're going to go with my son. Who do you think you are? This is my son."
Yeah.
She'd always go, "And
Yeah.
he's so handsome." "Yes, ma'am, he is." But um, I really, I thought she was a very nice person. Of course, you're not going to say anything about your boyfriend's mother, but I didn't see
Yeah.
anything there to be said. She was a
Yeah.
very, very nice person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And for both of you, what was it like as a mother-in-law? Like once you get married and you start having kids, and I mean, because like I said, my memory of her is not shy at all. So I don't know, you know, what the shy thing was because I don't remember this. So
yeah,
as a
Well,
mother-in-law, how was she, Mom?
well, she was shy at first, but then once you get into the marriage and you're spending a lot of time with her, uh, and then you learn that you don't cross her. You know,
Yeah.
then you learn that if someone crossed her, then
Yeah.
mm-mm.
you fix to get crossed out. And you asked. You know what I mean. So there were
Same.
people that she was close to, but then there were people if people were pretentious
Yeah.
and snobby
Yeah,
and overly what's the word, overly done or prissy or whatever, it was like, yeah, you know
Yeah.
then there was the Spanish that you don't understand, but
Yeah.
it meant some. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
she would say something in
She would
Spanish
say in
that you didn't
Spanish,
understand.
and then
Yeah.
you're thinking, I don't know what she's saying, but I know what
Yeah.
she means.
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and that was fun to see her because she liked it because she was so fair and blue eyed, uh, and
Yeah.
uh-huh,
she didn't have black hair, so she was
Yeah.
Castilian.
yeah,
She was and
right,
so she didn't. A lot of people would come up and start talking Spanish, not realizing that she
right.
herself was Spanish or
Yeah.
Hispanic,
First
and that she
language.
could understand
Yeah.
everything they were saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
and she had fun with that. She
Yeah.
she
Well,
loved that.
we went to Trader Vic's out here, which is big flea market, and she goes, "They're talking about us in Spanish." I go, "Ama, ask me a question loudly that I can answer C to." No matter what it was. And she says something, da 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 da. They go, "See, yeah." you know, just so that they would know. I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
what they were saying, but she was like,
Yeah.
"They're
Yeah.
talking about us."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And I will say it was in my, let's see, I was in my 20s and I'd already had the girls, or maybe I had I don't want to say what the context was, but it was my first in my life. We're raised in a Hispanic and white household, but it's the first time in my life where I had experienced her saying something about another. Well, if she would say, like, "Oh, those Mexicans," and I was like, "Grandma, we're Mexican." What are you talking about? We're Mexican. And it was the first dawning, a thing that, oh, we're Spanish. And
Yes,
they
yes,
are very different in her mind. We're
yes.
very different. I was like, what you talking about? We are Mexican. We're not Mexican. We're Spanish and Castilian, and that's different. And it's just, I remember it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until I was in my 20s and I was like, oh, and it's different and we feel some type of way about it. Got it. And it wasn't until later on that you're just like, oh, okay. I didn't know it was a
Never
thing, but
did.
apparently it's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing. So
Uh-huh.
Yes.
it was really
Yeah.
funny. Oh. So what do you think are your biggest, like, what are something that from grandma that you passed down? Obviously mine's azaleas, and I will tell y'all, I made homemade tortillas on Sunday
Oh, you
and more than
did.
half of them were round. So with
All right.
lard, y'all, with
Yeah.
lard.
Congratulations.
So how did your tamales turn out? That's what I
Oh, my
want to know.
tamales they were a bomb. My tamales. I hadn't made tamales in
Yeah,
2 years.
in a long time. I know. That's
Yeah,
why.
they're too
You
hard.
know,
Yeah, I was talking about I want to make them, so I
What,
tried them.
tamales?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just too
I got
much.
this
It's too
lady
much
that
work,
does
man.
step by step on a video, but that's
Yeah.
another story.
Yeah, I followed a guy that does the step by step, but it's too long. It's entirely too much work. Oh, but I did make tortillas on Sunday, and Dwayne asked me because there were 16 of them, and I hand rolled them, and he's like, you could get a tortilla press and just do it. I was like, and I even said to him, I said, yeah, but I remember my grandma. I remember the rolling, the sound, the
yes,
Right.
rhythm,
yes.
and I stood there and tried to emulate that. I
I
said, I
have her
know it would
little
be
rolling
Yeah, and
easier.
then you
pins.
have to flip them in your
Oh,
hand
you
like
do?
this.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah, I
know?
did do the flip, but
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
say that at least half of them were completely round. Like I did, it was a
Wow.
solid. Some look like Texas, but some were solid. So
Yeah.
there are,
Yeah.
those things for me that I know I passed down. And then, like I said, the saucy attitude at times might live here. But
Yes.
what are some of
Yes.
the things for y'all that were your influence, that influenced your household, your kids, your husband, that you somehow got embedded and you passed on?
I think for me, I really strive to keep my house clean
Yeah,
and nice and all. I didn't always, but I did because it meant something to her. Not only
yeah,
that, but because I knew Daniel come from a home that was kept nice and
yeah,
that he wasn't a slob and he didn't
yeah,
throw his stuff down and he didn't leave messes and he didn't, um, and he could iron his own clothes if he needed to. Or so, I think I get that from my mother, but I grew up with a lot of clutter. It
yeah,
was clean clutter, but it was clutter because there were so many people. But for him, I would try to keep things
yeah,
clean. And even if you remember when y'all were littler, I would say that Daddy deserves to come home to a clean house. So we're going to blitz the house.
yeah,
And so we would take a few minutes and everybody blitz it and get
yeah,
everything, sorted and cleaned up or at least hide it in the closet. I don't,
yeah,
So yeah. So when it was getting time for Daddy to come home, I say, okay, we're going to blitz the house because Daddy deserves to come home to a clean house.
yeah,
So I guess that was influential from Grandma, I believe.
yeah.
You know?
Shirley, what about you? Do you remember anything that
Well, I
even
have
if it's just
different things go through my mind. You know, I enjoy doing crafts.
Mhm.
And I've watched her. I've tried to study, but I still wish she was around so she could show me more
Yeah.
details,
Yeah,
but that's something that I think that if I ever get to the point where I don't have a husband that is my taskmaster going, come on, do it, let's go, let's go, let's go. That I wouldn't mind sitting and trying
Yeah.
to, like the quilting. I would like to do
Yeah.
that and she's got those beautiful ones in there,
Mhm.
but at the back of my head, I go, are you going to mess this up?
Yeah.
Not really. So you
Feel like
got
her
to
yelling at me from heaven.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's already yelled at me about a quilt, okay? But, just
Yeah.
she was a wonderful person. There's things that I'm not gonna go into that she would ask me questions and I was going, wow, I don't think I'm ready for this. The questions that you would ask me, but she would hear something going on
Yeah.
over here and she didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And some of it I'm going, okay, if this is my mother-in-law, how do I explain it?
this
But
we have this
there,
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, we'll try being her granddaughter and having her ask those questions when you're in high school, okay?
yeah, so but she was a curious person,
Yeah.
and I think about the integrity she really, I mean, it was in her. If she, I'm gonna do this, and then she would try her best to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that all of us can learn from each other
Mhm.
to walk
Yeah.
in that integrity because we don't have a lot of integrity today.
Yeah.
I think about, and this, I don't know, it may not apply, but something that I think and I pray because before she died, Eddie and I had the privilege to go and be with her,
Mhm.
and he would work and I would take care of her. And I remember this one day she came in, I think she had realized that she was going to die with this. And
Mhm.
she goes, I want y'all to bereave my death, cry with me. And I listened to her crying and it wasn't, I've never heard her cry like that before
Yeah.
Wow.
and everything, but she was preparing that integrity to know I'm going to go be with the Lord.
Mhm.
And I think at that point she just completely gave it to the Lord. And I think, Lord, if I get to that place where I know that my time is short, which we don't know when it'll be, but
Yeah.
she didn't know exactly when it was going to be. But the integrity, the love, the strength that she had, that she
Yeah.
imparted to me that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Shirley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Because,
remember, I think just the passion that she had for things, thinking
yeah.
about, thinking about the cactus story for me. So
Yeah, you might
I,
tell that story.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think she was having a garage sale because that's how she kind of kept her income coming, was having a garage sale. And she basically had a storefront in her,
Right.
was a carport, and I think it turned into a garage or something like that. I can't remember.
It was a garage that
Um,
turned into a dining room.
and then it was,
Then she, yeah,
eventually
yeah,
became the
yeah,
dining room. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
But at some point it was a garage, and she always had a little store in there, and there was a paper sack, a grocery sack, blue, and told me, "Oh, go grab that," and I ran after it, and she had these massive cactuses, like 5 foot, 6 foot tall, blue agave cactuses, which, by the way, now I grow in this house.
Yes.
We
Oh,
have those.
wow.
By the
So I'm trying to get a big
azaleas.
one.
Yeah, by the
They are by
azaleas.
the
Yeah.
azaleas. But I ran to go get that bag, and when I did, I reached on the cactus, and cactus poked me in the eye. And she had
Oh,
2 of them on both sides of her driveway, so it poked me in the eye. I had to have surgery. I have a scar, like I have a little weak eye now. It's fine, but
it was just a
whatever.
stitch or
So
two in
the
your
story
eyeball.
is that they had to take me to the emergency room and all that. Well, she was so upset by that she cut those down with an axe
Yeah.
and
Wow.
axed those
I
babies
mean,
up
like a slicer
like a
serial
crazy
killer.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
murdered those
Chopped it
cactuses and
up.
took them
Yeah.
both down. Was not that cactus's fault,
No.
but she took it down because I had poked my eye on the cactus like that. So I will say in the cactuses, in memory of, I did buy one a couple of years ago. I have now. I will say my eye twitches when I get around it. we were we were mulching this week, and I have it in the front. I have one in a big vase that's just growing so pretty in the front flower bed, and we were putting mulch, and I find myself like trying to when I get around it, but yeah, just that she, felt that passionately about it and just went out and serial killered those cactuses and
She did.
and
Slaughter.
remember that
It's a
kind of
massacre.
passion. And then
Yeah.
and then even when she, I think about the time she warded off that guy trying to steal her purse and her car or something, and she fought him off should be in her 70s, right? Fought this guy off and ended up in a
She
ditch.
didn't make it to 70. Maybe she didn't make it to 70.
Okay, then
She passed.
60.
Yeah, she passed away at 68. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
See,
she
that
was
makes it even
also
worse.
walking in the
I know.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
and somebody came and tried to grab it, and she would not let go of that purse.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trying to take it. She just, you just
not
didn't
today.
mess with. You didn't mess with her family. You didn't mess with her money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember, bouts of those things, but I do remember her being incredibly curious and her hearing things and asking, what does that mean? What does that mean? You don't want to know. Don't ask. You don't want to know.
Yeah, I went and told my mother, I go, Eddie's mom just asked me about this. And mother goes, well, what is that? I go, no, mother. No.
Nope.
That's it.
That's funny. And when did you say she died, Mom? 68?
She was 68 when she
1998.
passed. Yeah.
Okay.
December
She died
14th,
at
1998.
She was only 68. Yeah, because Daddy, because I remember she died at 68 and my daddy died at 68. And Mom passed at 82 and Isidore was 82. So
see, that's 18 years. 18 years from where I am right now. That feels really young.
Yeah, it was.
19
it was
years.
Well, my dad was 47. I've already passed that.
Oh, yeah, that's way young.
Yeah.
So, yes, and she did. I thought she died with so much dignity.
She did.
Okay, so you're gonna have to clarify for me, because I in my brain, and this just maybe is the way my brain's processing, if I remember right. I think I was irritated at her because we're gonna have to back up and tell the story of how she got sick and what it was from, because in my brain, she got breast cancer, should have had her cha-chas cut off, but wouldn't do it because she was so vain. And it ended up developing into other things. So that's in my head what I remember pieces of it, but also, was 20 and it was my dumb life.
Before,
yeah.
And they checked her lung and they said that there was a spot there, but they did a biopsy, didn't find anything. Then the next year, or maybe 2 years, however long the time was between, she went in and they said there's a spot there. They went in and that's when they found out that her lung was completely, or half of it anyway, was gone.
Yeah, so it started as lung cancer.
Yeah, it started as lung cancer.
I think she had cancer probably when they went in. When they did the biopsy, they went to the wrong area.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah, that she could have had it longer.
I mean, it can happen, but it's kind of like you don't want it to happen. If somebody has cancer, especially with it being that soon, they probably could have just went in and she got treatment. She'd be here with us today.
Yeah.
My opinion, but.
Yeah. So if she got sick, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And what do you remember about from the time she was diagnosed to the time she died, what was that span? Do we remember?
It was not very long, because I went down on my birthday. I was working at the school as a teacher, and Eddie came in, and I had the child from hell. Was throwing a hissy fit, and I'm going to quit. I don't have to put up with other people's kids. I'm done, And Eddie comes in and says, you got to quit. Oh, okay. And then he told me why, that we needed to go down, and we came down, and all these diagnoses.
Y'all were in San Antonio at this time?
No,
Were
we
y'all in
were
San
we were in
Antonio?
Red Oak.
Red
We
Oak.
was in Red
Okay.
Oak. Yeah, we were in Red Oak. And so, we got down there and Eddie's going, we're going to have to stay. And it was around my birthday, November, and then she died December 14th.
Oh, so it wasn't long at all.
Uh-uh.
Well,
From the
so
time
for
that
some
they
reason, I
diagnosed.
feel like
And
it was
really
like
and truly,
years.
she did not die from the cancer. They said it had spread, but she got pneumonia.
Yeah.
And
So it had
that's
nothing to do
Yeah.
with her boobs at all.
No.
She didn't have breast cancer at all?
Yeah, she had it had spread to her breast.
It went in her neck.
It can too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it spread into the bones in her neck because they went in and she kept telling them it hurt. And they finally did an MRI and they found out that the vertebrae had completely collapsed with cancer. And this one didn't have anything between, so it joined like this. And that was what was causing all the pain in her neck because that vertebrae had collapsed from cancer.
Yeah.
It had spread, and then the doctor said it was like in her hip and her leg, and it was just spreading all over. And when they came in and said, with the pneumonia, that, we could keep her on, but, that wasn't her will.
Yeah.
She had already prepared and she was ready to go. Katrina was with me. I go, Katrina, do you want to go say bye to Ma? She goes, yeah. And we go in there and I laid my hand on her and she looked up at us. And Katrina's standing there freaking out because she thought she was going to be in a coma.
Yeah.
And I go, Ma, we love you. I go through the, releasing and everything. And we walked out and Katrina goes, you can't do it, Mama. She knows. She does. I go, yes, Katrina. She knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a learning process even to Katrina because she had not really experienced that part of death.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Eddie, I don't know where Eddie was, but I was in trying to get Katrina and Dan went in there. I don't know if you were with him or not.
Yeah,
but
Daniel and Lydia and myself went in there when they took the tube out.
Yeah, and said it was within 5 minutes she was gone.
Yes, it
she
was.
was ready.
Yeah, I think I was headed there, but was late.
Yes,
But
Lydia.
she died, like you said, the dignity. I mean, she taught people how to die that day.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Didn't she? And I remember her calling everybody into the hospital room. And then she said, okay, so-and-so gets this and so-and-so gets this. And, so-and-so gets this. And it's like, what are you doing? So she was just giving away her stuff. And when she said, when she said, and James gets my car, and I'm thinking, no, he don't, and it was like, what, so that's what she wanted. So I don't remember what all. I think Dorcas, you have her black onyx ring, don't you? Is a G.
Yeah.
And all. And let's see, I ended up with the diamond necklace and all. I don't know if y'all remember those. And so here, very about a month or so ago, I took Daddy took my wedding band, my original little wedding band, to the jewelers to have it sized. And so I said, well, Chet, take this little diamond necklace and take, several other things and just have him looked at and appraised. And the diamond necklace, it's a diamond. And the jeweler goes, no, that's not a real diamond. And I'm thinking, oh, she would be so pissed at that Gilbert if she knew that.
Wow.
So it was like, it looks real. It's lovely, But she said, no, that's not the real diamond. I'm thinking, that dang Gilbert. She thought he had spent a lot of money on a diamond, and now she's walking on streets of gold and crystal sea. So it don't matter now. But I thought she'd be so pissed at that Gilbert.
But it would have mattered then if she'd
It would have mattered. It would have been a big deal. So,
That's funny.
Oh, he would have
yes,
been
it
buying
was.
her a real
Yes,
diamond.
it was.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, she was just giving things away
Mm-hmm.
with like determination. Like, this
Yeah.
is what I want, and don't nobody argue with me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't see how she was doing that, and she held it together
Yeah.
and she said,
Well, it's like
okay,
when
as a matter of fact. Yeah.
she had Eddie to take her to Corn City to prepare her funeral.
Yes.
I knew she
And
had it like planned out, like the music
yeah,
and the
she did.
this
She
and
paid
the
for
that. I remember that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was starting to crawl in the coffin,
Yeah.
try it out. And Eddie goes, Mom, please. And she goes, son, you're going to appreciate this one day. You're going to appreciate. And he goes, Mom, I don't want to see you in there. Do not crawl in there.
Well, Shirley, my other grandma, my mom's mom,
Uh-huh.
had her coffin purchased before she
In
died
the
and had it
bathroom,
at
right?
her house.
Built for her. She had the
Like,
lady build it for
I
her.
went to the bathroom to go pee, and I sit down on the toilet, and there is a coffin standing like this in the tub, standing upright in the tub. And I come out and was like, what in the hell is that? She goes, well, Grandma got her coffin. She bought it. It's paid for. And I'm thinking, well, hallelujah, because it's in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. No, she wanted,
What?
when she got that thing, Dorcas.
Morbid generation.
Yes. She wanted to know if I would put that coffin in the top of the old barn at the lake house, up on the rafters and up there. And I said, Mother, I don't think I can do that. Okay, well, that's all right. She said, you know what? It would make a pretty coffee table, don't you think? And I'm thinking, no. So she put it back in the box and set it up in that garden tub in her bathroom. Yes. Beth would not go in that bathroom. I will tell you that right now.
Did she have two
And it was
bathrooms, one to bathe in and one to hold the coffin?
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think I only went in it once because I was mortified.
Yeah.
So yes, it would be mortifying to know she got in the coffin.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, she was trying, and
Yeah.
Eddie's going, no, Mom. And she goes, son, you're really going to appreciate this when time comes. You're going to appreciate this. And she's going, Mom, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't think I will appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and when she left strict orders. I mean, she was dogmatic about this. Do not open the casket when we take her to Corn City. She did not want
and then
an
there
open
was
casket.
those that came up and was insistent.
Yes, and so that coffin got opened. And I'm still thinking that, when we get there, she is going to be.
She may. That would be your mother with a fingerprint.
Yes. And then Maria, was it Maria, was passing out and goes on the stairs.
Oh,
and Julia goes, don't pay her no mind. She does that all the time.
She turned into a three-turn soup.
Yeah. So,
I do remember that being comical.
Yes. Yeah.
Having to drive all that way, and then you're just like, oh, okay, she fell out. She's gone. She gone.
So
that was funny.
She took care of business. She took care of it, no matter what.
Yeah.
She paid her way, and she paid off that house herself.
That's the thing about it is, without an education, she was very successful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was able to go in. She learned to drive. Had her car. Had a nice car.
Yes, she did.
That one that had the airbags in it. I don't know what cars.
Yeah.
But it was a very nice car.
Yeah.
And she paid the insurance. She had her little envelope system, and she knew that this bill was this much, and she put the money in there, and then she'd go pay it. And then, she just had it organized.
Yeah.
And, for someone, like I say, God gave her favor. People would bring stuff to her.
Oh my goodness.
She didn't go out like Eddie does. Let's go to this place. Let's go to this place looking for stuff to fill them all.
Yeah.
God just gave her favor and took care of her in such a marvelous way.
Yeah. But you know what? I
And
think she
it was
also
true.
she exuded that to take care of people because I think about all the mission work, working at the
Yes,
mission
yes.
downtown, her and grandpa, that
Joy Fellowship. Uh-huh.
their whole little life seemed to be about service
Right.
to others too,
And she was a
him,
servant.
yeah, yeah, in her home, to her
Yeah.
family, to,
Right.
like I said, I remember the mission, and I even want to say years later, I had met somebody even after she had passed away, and after the kids were born and all that, I had met somebody. I can't remember where, but they remembered her. They remembered my
Mhm.
name, and then asked, about the Serenelle name, and then was talking about
Mhm.
her and remembered her at that mission downtown. It was a girl who
Yeah,
I think was a
Gano
kid
mission.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Gano mission. Yeah, yeah, her doing that. So I can. It just seems like their whole life was, even Grandpa, driving
Right.
that bread truck to
Right.
go get this and to take it to the
Yeah.
mission and to pick this
Yeah.
up,
Mhm.
and
He would pick up these like 5-pound things of sour cream, and he'd come
yeah,
to me and he says, "Make me a sour cream cake."
yeah,
He'd bring that in. I'd walk in, I knew what
Yeah.
he was wanting.
yeah,
He had a real good recipe. I don't know where the
yeah,
recipe is now, but he
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah.
So
yeah,
that was
But you
my
know that
job.
the Spanish mission at Wood Forest, she basically started that single-handedly
Mhm.
yeah,
as a little
Yeah.
Sunday school class with
Yeah.
some little Spanish-speaking people, and she was
hmm
Yeah.
involved in the English ESL
yeah,
ministry
Yeah. Second
there
language.
at
Yeah.
Wood Forest.
yeah,
Yeah, she was very, very influential in that. Um,
Mhm.
and she was a soul winner.
yeah,
Yeah.
She could lead people to the Lord. And Dorcas, isn't that your testimony that it was grandma that
yeah,
led you to
yeah.
Jesus
Yeah, it was
and
grandma
your
that was. Yeah,
salvation?
yeah,
Yes. Um,
yeah.
What a
so
tremendous gift.
hmm
yes, truly, so um I I think she's an example of it doesn't matter where you come from because God just turns it all into uh something that glorifies him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
He can take it
yeah,
and he does that. Uh
yeah,
and so she was an example. Was she a little spitfire sometimes? Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Did
yeah,
you not like it crossways
You
with
didn't
her?
want to get on
You better
her
not.
own
yeah,
side.
yeah,
No, no,
You
no.
always, yeah.
Um
You always
even
wanted to be on the. Not even, don't even be close to her. Eddie and I walked out because when her car got stolen and was impounded, and she went up to the man and says, "You're going to have to pay this much money." I mean, his face got bright red. He was so mad. And she's just going, "You're ripping me off. And, it's not
yeah.
right. They stole from me." And I thought, this man's going to jump on the counter. Eddie and I looked at each other and we're going to go outside.
we
I
going.
didn't want to see what was coming. She was going to beat the snot out of him for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And if you're working on her house, maybe you better do
Yeah,
it right and do
yeah,
it her
yeah,
way.
yeah. I
You know.
remember her
yeah,
being meticulous about the
Yes, very
construction on the
meticulous.
house. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
And she wasn't afraid to she had a dream and she redid that back patio into
yeah.
a
The whole
den.
back of the
Then she
house.
added a whole nother bedroom and
Yeah,
yeah,
bath.
yeah,
And so Anne turned the garage into the dining area.
yeah,
Um,
hmm
so um, you know, she she didn't put it off. She
yeah.
did it. She did
Isn't that
it.
amazing? And it was, you think, 68 years. That's
I
it.
know.
She did
yeah,
all that in 68 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
Married, raised kids, had grandkids, just lived her life like that.
Yeah.
And we
It's
haven't
pretty
talked to
spectacular.
people that were, influenced by her outside
Yeah,
of the
of
family.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, that there was a lot of people that she would take them, maybe they were sick and she would take them food, or,
yeah,
they'd come and they wouldn't have money for clothes and she would just go ahead and give them the clothes, or,
yeah,
just little things that you don't think nothing about, but to that person, it may
yeah,
have been day and night difference. They may need
yeah,
work. I got a job. I have no clothes. Well, now
yeah,
you have clothes,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
just little simple things like that. So,
yeah. That's a phenomenal
And
life.
she was meticulous about her own clothes and on her own style.
Oh, yeah, she was.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
she had her own
Especially
style. She
Sunday
had her own.
morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
She,
I remember the
she
6-inch
was.
heels, man.
Yes,
6-inch
yes.
heels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was still wearing stilettos at 68. You know.
Yeah.
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 So
Stilettos.
that's true. Stilettos.
like
Yeah, 3-inch
this.
stilettos. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
And so and Lydia's got a bunch of her purses, you know, so
Yeah.
she's hangs on to her purses and just a lot of things. So
Yeah.
and then some things you don't know if it was started or originated with her or if it's something she had in the garage set. You know,
Yeah.
there are things that, you know, I'm holding on to that I think I don't know if this was hers from her mother passed down to her, or was it something she got in the garage sale? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
No.
you do, there's just a few things that you want to honor her
Yeah.
Right.
with, you
Well, I
know.
have that apron that
You
was in
do,
her
baby,
house
you
that's
do.
hanging in the pantry.
Yes.
It's
And I think
framed and hanging in the
I
pantry.
think either she made that or her mother made that. The hand
Yeah.
stitching it on that, if I have my story right.
Yeah.
And all. And so you do have some of her little
Well, I hope it's right because it's hanging in a frame. So it better be. It's
That's
not from a
right.
garage sale.
whatever it is, it's in honor of her. It was in her
Yeah.
possession at one time for a very long time.
It better
So,
be. If not,
yes.
I got somebody else's meemaw stuff hanging in my kitchen.
Yes, but you do have some of her recipes that was like handwritten by her. Do you
Oh,
have
wow.
those?
No,
Or do
Grandma Chapman. I have
you
Grandma
have Grandma
Chapman's
Chapman's?
recipes.
But I
Yeah.
do have some things
No, I've had
written
to
in
wing it
her.
on the tortillas. I've had to wing it on the
I
mole,
know,
which is,
baby.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it is stuff like that that you wish you'd preserved just a little bit of stuff. You know, I feel like if I had, because she died when I was in my 20s, so I think you're young and you're not thinking about those things yet. If I'd have had 10 more years by the time I was 30, I think I would have already, you know, realized how important those relationships are, those time spent are, those meals are, because that's my love language
Yeah.
too, is cooking and hosting and, you know, doing that, you know, having your family around, which I'm sure, you know, come from her as well. But, you know, some of those recipes, I think we keep talking
Yeah.
about enchiladas
The
that probably are
enchiladas.
not
I
hard.
can't
We
remember
don't know
her
how to make
enchiladas.
enchiladas.
Yeah. Can't remember her enchiladas.
I remember her enchiladas. They were
Okay,
good.
you're going to have to help me with that recipe. But the thing is, what made it so special was that welfare cheese. You know,
Yeah,
you
she
get the
got the
big
government
block.
yeah.
cheese,
Yeah,
the big block of
yeah,
Right.
yeah, government cheese. That's a
Yeah.
better. That's more politically
It's
correct than
it's
welfare. But
government
it was
cheese.
government cheese.
Yeah, I don't
It
even
was
know where you
just
can get
a.
that now.
You can't
You
because it's so
can't.
expensive now. You could
Yeah.
buy that same thing at the deli, but it's probably like $60, like
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
good cheddar, good
Yeah,
cheddar.
Yeah.
because it was
you know.
good cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, back
Yeah.
then.
That was
And
a
she-
different
But-
world then.
Yeah, better enchiladas then.
Yes, yes. So yeah, her enchiladas is the thing that I think. Man, I don't remember all her spices and all. I used to make them a lot.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
just the
Well,
don't remember.
I've converted and I just this is the way I want it to taste, so I'll make it the way I want it to taste. So
yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Well, I
It's-
wanted to taste like she
it's
made
a little
it.
bit of this and a little bit
Yes.
of that, and we put it together. And we
Yeah.
have
yeah. Well, that's how I feel about the mole, because that's something that I do remember her
Yes, the
making
mole.
is her
I can
mole.
still do the mole.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do a very
Yes.
good job of the mole,
Yes, I
and
do
I
the
like
mole.
it. The thing is, I like it once a year. I don't want it all the time, and I think it's because we did Christmas Eve at her house that for me is cemented. Maybe we didn't even have it then. I don't know, but in my brain we did.
We did, yeah.
Is that time of year. I want it. I don't want to make it all the time. I don't want to eat it 10 times a year. I want to eat it once a year, and it is so good.
Yeah. It's so her. You know?
Yeah, it's so her, and I live for that. And I don't want Lydia to make it either. I want Mom to make
Lydia
it.
don't.
Lydia makes it good, but I want Mom to make it. It's just so different. about
Yes,
it.
yes.
So in that way, I'm a bit of a diva with that. So sorry, not sorry.
Not really.
So I guess kind of in closing, what do you think um, grandma's legacy would be, or is, like, for you guys? What do you think her legacy is?
I think, well, as you pointed out, you and Mariah both are kind of little mini
Yeah.
me's when it comes
Yeah.
to Connie.
Yeah.
Truly, truly,
I think so
which
too. Yeah.
makes me smile a lot. And her mission heart was I think brought a lot of glory to the Lord, and we should all have that mission giving heart.
Yeah.
She wasn't afraid to talk to people about the Lord. That's for sure. I think her determination and her willingness to just stand up for her own right, and she wasn't afraid to throw a hissy fit if she needed to. Like Lydia said, she was spicy. Yeah, and she was a beautiful
Yeah.
lady. She was absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful, and she was. So, anyway, I wish she was still with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
miss her dearly. I miss her
Yeah.
dearly. And there's a lot of times I just think, "Oh, sorry, Grandma," and then I say, "Thank you, Grandma."
Yeah.
Thank you. There's some things I just thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, she's left a
Yeah.
sweet legacy.
Also, what do you see in your husbands from her? Because y'all both got her boys.
Yeah, we did get her boys, didn't we?
y'all have her boys. So,
Okay, yeah,
what
we
do y'all
do.
see in them where you think, oh, that's your mama?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, for Daddy, he don't
Yeah.
mind helping. He don't mind doing the
Yeah.
dishes, or he don't mind helping make the bed. He cleans
Yeah.
the bathroom himself and all there. And then there is some of her little spicy attitudes that shows up every
thanks,
once in a
Dosty.
while. What she thinks is what she thinks, and that's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that shows up.
Yeah.
You know,
Good, bad, and ugly. Huh?
yeah. So
Just listen, I'll admit it.
yeah, the ball's in your
So,
court,
yeah.
Shirley.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I think Eddie has a lot of her personality. He goes at life. It's like he knows what he's going to do. And she went in. She knew what she was going to do, what she was going to accomplish. And I see that in my
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah.
He doesn't back away from a challenge. She didn't back away from a
No.
challenge.
Yeah.
When you're talking about, I can go in and say, yeah, my husband is good about, she did train our husbands
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, she
to
did.
get rid of the
She
house,
did.
Yeah.
which I'm
Yeah.
grateful. And, sometimes my husband will come in and, after evening, we've done whatever we're going to do. He goes, you just sit there. I'm going to cater to you.
Yeah.
And I go,
Okay.
that's that servant's heart coming out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of his mom in
Yeah.
him. And sometimes you see that part that you didn't want to be around come
Yeah.
out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that, today I may not be able to reason with him at all. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's no talking, but he's got enough. And she was very humble. She didn't want to keep it that way,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to keep it that way. So he'll come and we'll work through it.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of his mothers, he was more of a mama's boy anyway. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of her in him,
Yeah.
and the characteristic and his ability to love. When you asked the first question there, I thought her legacy, she could love.
Yeah.
She loved
Yes.
people. She
Yeah.
loved family. She loved God. And she wasn't afraid to give you that love.
Yeah. And she loved
So,
big. Like it was big and it felt
yeah,
passionate and it felt,
right. You didn't doubt it. It wasn't
Yeah.
something, if
Yeah.
she didn't love you, you knew it.
Yeah.
She
Yeah, that's
didn't
true.
like you. I mean, but she would accept you, and she would respect you and
Yeah.
honor you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that probably I was
Yeah.
Yeah, just her love.
Yeah.
She had
Yeah.
a big heart, and of course God was first, but it just built it right
Yeah.
down. Family
Yeah.
was very, very important, on and on and on. And that's why I think that your kids, you
Yeah.
know, our grandkids, Alicia's, um, they really we like what you're doing. I think it's wonderful what you're doing to be able to bring the stories and bring life because Mariah and Ariel, even Cody can
Yeah.
listen to this.
Yeah.
And Alicia's kids can listen and find out something about Ama.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alicia was around enough that she kind of like you,
Yeah.
to that
We
point.
know, we
But
remember.
there's
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more that she could have given you if God would have said, "No, I want you to stay around," and
Yeah.
everything. And I even think, because we were gone so much, we missed a lot of what could have been given to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but one
I know.
day,
It's just life,
yeah,
and you do look forward
yeah,
to it. It's one of the things you
you
look
got to do
forward
what
to
you got to
going
do.
because I do think that they can glimpse it in heaven and see the joyous parts around here. So I know she
Mhm.
gets to see, but it would have been nice to see that, you
Right.
know, to look at her and I think just because Mariah's got so much sass, and
Oh,
Ariel too, just that they just are so funny. To me, Ariel reminds me of Grandma because she's so funny. Like I just remember her
Yes.
saying
Yeah. Yeah.
things and being funny, and to me, I equate them to our, the sass with Mariah and then just a sense of humor
uh-huh.
because Grandma was always, I remember laughing and being silly and just, like I said,
Mhm.
just girl talk
Right.
and just
Right.
relaxing and you know being so incredibly beautiful and put together all the time.
Yeah.
So,
She was. She was.
yeah, so I do remember that, and I hate that we don't have that now, but I do look forward to seeing her again one day. So thank you so much for just taking the time to do this. I know it's late and it's this is a hard, sometimes a hard
It's
topic to
not that
do or
late.
hard to,
Yeah.
to sit down and uh talk about this. So I do appreciate both of y'all doing this. And Shirley, I would love to at another time get and talk about your life and your mother, and we'll have you back on to do
Well, that'd
that.
be great.
So I appreciate that because I would love to hear about your mother. I think that's been the most rewarding thing about this is just seeing that generational, these lines that are coming down,
Right.
because I know how wonderful Katrina is and how great Paige is. And, so Katrina's story with her 15 kids that she's bought out, I give her heck all the time because I was like, you're the only person I know that had a college graduation with a newborn. You're insane.
I know. I
Yes, that's
know.
true. Yeah.
You are insane. So
Yeah.
yeah, just talking about y'all's family. So I would love to have you back on again. But thank you again so much for joining us tonight, and thank you to everybody who is listening tonight. We hope that you'll join us again next week for another episode. And please don't forget to subscribe to The Mother You Know, The Woman You Know on your favorite podcast platform, so you never miss out on anything. Your support will mean the world to us. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll talk to you again next week.
Bye.